Of all of the M1 Mac products that we've talked about quite a lot in the last few months, the one that I personally use the most and have set up as my main computer is the M1 MacBook Pro 13. It's small, quiet, powerful, and as somebody that I've always liked the 13-inch MacBook Pro line, this is probably up there as my favorite computer ever made. It's not as budget friendly as the Mac Mini, and it's not as technologically baffling as the MacBook Air. I mean, I'm still shocked that you can get that much power in such a small computer, and that computer doesn't have an active cooling system, but I haven't had a thermal problem with it. It doesn't make any sense. But today we found a way to mitigate some of these things and actually find the MacBook Pro 13 for less money, but all the same benefits of buying from Apple. So Gary, how do we do that? Let's find out. What's up everyone, I'm the Everyday Dad, and if I can figure it out, you can figure it out. Boom, again, like the previous video where we talked about the MacBook Air, today's video will be about the Apple Refurbished website, but as it exists for the MacBook Pro instead of the MacBook Air. What's that, commenter? Yes, I did feel the need to make two videos for a couple of reasons. One, I figured people might either want the Air or the Pro, and you wouldn't want to sit through half of a video not aimed at the information you want. And two, I didn't know the Pros were on the Refurbished website until yesterday. Much like that last video, we're going to break this down into a couple of sections. We'll talk about where you can find the M1 13-inch for less money. We'll talk about how much less money that is. We'll also talk about the Apple Refurbished website and if it's worth buying from them instead of buying new. And we'll close out talking about why even if you can afford it for less, like let's say you have the money, should you even spend it on the M1 MacBook Pro 13? First off, let's start with a bold statement. I'm quite the controversial figure, and I make nothing if not bold statements. I almost said it with a straight face. The Apple Refurbished website is the best source to buy your personal technology from. Bold. We'll put it, I'm gonna paint it on the wall back here. Seriously though, I do wish every technology manufacturer had a similar place to that Apple Refurbished section of their website. I wish cameras had it, I wish phones had it, I wish everything had it. Basically, what Apple does is they take their returns, trade-ins, or other ways they receive their older, and by older, I mean older in the strict literal time sense of time being in a line, because in a release schedule sense, these are cutting edge, like they're brand new. They receive those older products, give them a new outer shell, new battery, and package them all together in a like-new fashion. You get all of the benefits of buying new, the same return policy, the same warranty. Heck, you can even buy Apple Care on these products if you really want to. In all practical sense, these devices, whether you buy your phone here, your tablet, computer, etc., it's brand new. It may not actually be brand new. You may be the second owner, but it's treated from Apple like it's brand new. The only difference, and I mean the only difference you'll be able to notice, and yes, it will be you. No one else is going to notice this. Like, nobody else is going to be like, hey, that laptop's refurbished. The only thing you're going to see is the box it's shipped in has a little refurbished spot on the top. Plus, yes, there is a plus. If you have an additional discount, say educator or military discount, it stacks on top of this. So you are getting almost a 25% discount taken right off the top of what are right now the most advanced Macs that you can get. I'm all hopped up on caffeine right now, but even if I wasn't, that's absolutely remarkable. Man, I wish other companies did this. And again, commenters, I see you down there. Apple doesn't pay me to say these things. In full disclosure though, if Apple wanted to pay me, Apple, if you're out there and you want to pay me to say the things that I already wanted to say, I would not turn that down. I'm just saying. With that rousing measure of hype for the Refurbished website, let's move on and see what they've actually got for sale. A quick disclaimer here, this does change quite frequently, so what I talk about today might not be in stock by the time you check their site and they might be sold out, or maybe they've got even more since the last time I checked. If that's the case, if they don't have the ones you want, just check back in a few days. Their refurbished stock, it changes quite regularly. When it comes to the M1 MacBook Pro 13, looks like we can get one for a cool $1099 for the base model. That's fantastic. 15% taken right off the top brings this way more closely in line with that base model MacBook Air. $1,100 for the 13-inch MacBook Pro is an amazing deal. It's amazing. I mean, the base model comes with that 8-core M1 CPU, the full 8-core GPU. It'll have 8 gigabytes of unified memory and a 256 gigabyte solid-state drive. And it also has a couple of added features that don't show up on the spec sheet, but are actually kind of huge deals when it comes to using a laptop. 1. The Pro line does have an internal active cooling system, which yes, is a fancy way of saying it has a fan. Plus, it also has a screen capable of 100 extra nits of brightness over the MacBook Air. This is important if you are working from anywhere other than your dark, dank basement that you make your YouTube videos in. That's kind of specific. It actually could be a huge deal from seeing the screen when in mixed lighting. And as we already saw, if you do have an additional discount, you can actually get this model for under $1,000, which I'm not going to say that again very loudly, because I don't want to start like yelling what and yelling just incoherent stuff on my YouTube video. More incoherent than normal. Not only do they have the base model, but I was able to find the top of the line version on here for $1,949, or $1,754 with that additional discount. $1,754 is less than I paid, and I didn't get the maxed out 2 terabyte solid state drive version. The top of the line model will come with the same CPU and GPU combination, but it'll have 16 gigabytes of unified memory and a 2 terabyte solid state drive, which I have no more hype words. Our hype tank is now on E here because we've used it too much. We pushed our hype into the red for this video too much. I don't have any more like hyperbolic statements to make. These are absolutely fantastic deals, and they do. If you look in there, they have options in between, but I don't want to bore you today and read through each individual spec options. Go to the website for yourself to see what kinds of custom options exist today or tomorrow if you're seeing this video tomorrow, or whenever you see the video. It's all relative, right? You could be watching this in a year and maybe it'll be even cheaper on there. So yes, we've seen that the prices are good, but how reliable are the computers from the Apple Refurbished website? I won't go into exacting detail here, as I already mentioned this in the last video, but I purchased my MacBook Pro 16 refurbished from Apple. It arrived lightning fast, sometimes faster than new because it's already technically in stock, and like previously mentioned in the video, the only way I was able to tell there was a difference between the brand new 16-inch and my refurbished one was the small little Apple Refurbished logo on the box. There's nothing on the computer says it's refurbished, nothing that you can see says it's refurbished except for the box. It was immaculate. The second I opened up that box, it was immaculate. Not a single scratch, not a single dent. There was no physical issue, and it absolutely ran stunningly well, and it was my main computer for months. Even now, boots up no problem, and if you need boot camp, it's probably the best option you can get if you need a portable hybrid Windows/Mac computer. But let's say you do get a lemon or something from the refurbished website doesn't show up the way that you would like it. Anything is physically possible. You still have the same return policy as the new stuff, so send it back to Apple and get another one that works in the way you want it. I called this the trifecta of winning in the MacBook Air video, and I'm having a hard time coming up with different terminology here, so we're gonna stick with this. That's a win, win, win. The trifecta of winning. So we've made it this far, we're on board with buying one, but is the MacBook Pro 13 even worth that $1,000 price tag? Gary, you've made like 90 videos on the thing. Would you say it's worth it after all those videos? Would you say? Yes, absolutely. Let's quickly break down all of the reasons why this is worth the regular money, and if you can get it for less money, it's even more worth it. I need to be a better writer. Though, if you would like to see more specificity in the reasons to buy a MacBook Pro 13, you should check out my video called "You Should Buy a MacBook Pro 13." It's like I planned this stuff out. I didn't actually plan this video. Let's cover 3 things really quickly: power, portability, and productivity, or the 3 Ps as I like to call them. Power. With that 8-core CPU and 8-core GPU standard, you get the full power available to the M1 Max. The single core scores are right up there with the top-end 11th gen Intel machines. And if you were curious, yes, single-core scores that are barely on top is basically the only thing Intel has going for it these days, so it's notable that a potential $1,000 Ultrabook can match their current top-of-the-line CPU. And the multi-core scores are respectable against the Ryzen multi-threaded monster. But I will say that the current Ryzen CPUs are very powerful. The reason to keep getting a Windows machine these days, if you aren't looking strictly like the only thing you want to do is gaming, you get a Windows PC because of Ryzen. Though, on both of these other style of CPU, they achieve their gains over the M1 in one key area. They both take way more power to get up there, where the M1 seems to just like tiny baby sip power, and even with those tiny sips, it holds out very well against those industry juggernauts. Practically speaking, what this power gets you is a laptop that's both small and quiet and pretty darn cool. Like, physically cool, not neat cool. Okay, it's actually both. When you don't have as much raw electric power going through a piece of tech, you'll generate less heat, and from a thermal standpoint, the M1 MacBook Pro 13 is the best thermally managed computer you get for the price, size, and power. Like I said, this can stand pretty toe-to-toe against Intel and AMD processors, but if you have one of those Windows-based machines, they'll be much bigger, they'll be much louder, and they'll run much hotter. If that doesn't bother you, cool, stick with your Windows laptops. But be aware, once you go M1, it's real hard to go back. Doubly hard when you have a YouTube channel dedicated to comparing laptops, and anytime you talk about one, the specter of the M1 machine is always lingering over you. It's just always lingering over me anytime I've got a lot of Windows laptops here we'll be checking out, but it's always hiding in the background. As a personal note, I legit have been using the M1 MacBook Pro 13 to run all of the video content that you've seen for the past couple of months. And I use really tough video codecs. This laptop has all of the power that somebody not specifically coding or gaming or, I don't know, mining Bitcoins could ever need. Portability? Yeah, you get all of that power in an Ultrabook. Normally, Ultrabooks are supposed to be powerful enough to get work done or maybe do some internet browsing done, which they then need to balance good battery life and not sounding like a table saw in the process. But the MacBook Pro 13 says, yeah, whatever, I'm gonna do what I want. This thing has 20 hours of battery life. You can tell I'm serious about the battery life because I put 3 exclamation points in the script. And the MacBook Pro 13 fits in any backpack because it's a 13-inch laptop. Look how small this thing is. I'm all about the future of technology that's small, lightweight, and portable, and this computer right here, it seriously answers the call. And last but not least, productivity. When I'm not making these YouTube videos, I'm a project manager in my day life, and this is the single best piece of productivity equipment that I own. We'll take the video editing part, we'll set it aside, we'll set it right over here, even though this is, again, the best video editing piece of equipment I've ever owned too, and let's talk Office Professional to Office Professional. The MacBook Pro 13 will run all of the normal pieces of software, but that's not all that remarkable though. Computers have been doing that for years now. You can run Zoom, you can run Teams, Word, you can PowerPoint your way on just about anything, and thankfully, it continues to work here. But what I also like about the MacBook is if you are a small business, you're just starting out, or you're a small team and you don't have the budget to pay for all the high-end applications, you can use the free iWork suite from Apple on here that does what all of that standard stuff does, but free. Who doesn't like free? Plus that 20 hours of battery life will release you from concerns of ever running out during a meeting again. I would pay so much more for that peace of mind, but you get it standard here, and you get it for less on the Refurbished website. Look, I'm telling you, peace of mind is very important. But at the end of the day, so what, right? Should you buy a refurbished M1 MacBook Pro 13 from the Apple Refurbished website? If all of the hype and hyperbole in this video didn't make it obvious, yes, absolutely. If you're in the market for a 13-inch laptop and you want a more reliable cooling system and a brighter screen than on the MacBook Air, I wholeheartedly recommend the MacBook Pro 13, and I doubly recommend getting it for less money refurbished. I love my 13, and I haven't regretted a single second of its purchase since I got it in November. Chef's kiss emoji perfection here. Mwah! And if you liked this video, you thought, heck yes, I need one of those MacBooks, and you would like to see all of the accessories that I personally use to get the most out of mine, here's my video showing just that. You can see all of the accessories that I use to make these YouTube videos, everything that I have that gets the most out of this computer. And you can find that by clicking right here. Click, 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 click. Thanks for watching.